All right, guys, welcome to From the Beach to the Bar. It's my and Jess's little podcast about our law firm. Today we're doing something different because Anthony is always very creative and makes us do stupid shit that we don't read beforehand, and he gets mildly annoyed. But today we're doing a debate. So Bobby, Sage's little brother, is going to be reading questions, and Jess and I and the case managers are going to take opposing sides. Let's see how we do. The lovely lady standing next to Bobby is our newest case manager. Her name is Alyssa. But in this situation, she is playing the part of the client that we are trying to persuade to go with the clearly superior firm of Ben and Ceci.
All right. Client doesn't think they need or want treatment, but still wants a full payout. Are they still entitled to full compensation?
No,
Why is that?
because your treatment is, technically, in order to be able to get a compensation, a monetary compensation, because of your injury. So when you're injured, it's pain and suffering, right? So you have pain and you're suffering because of the pain, right? So you have to go to the doctors because that's what people do when they have pain and they're suffering because of the pain, they go to the doctors. So in order to be able to get the maximum amount of settlement, you have to do treatment, and that also helps you not just with a monetary settlement, but it also helps you get back into your self health-wise. I said that reversed. My dyslexia kicked in.
It happens. It happens. All right, I'm going to piggyback off this. I think I say it all the time. If you don't treat, you don't get paid. Here's the thing. We don't want you to treat if you're not hurt. If you're not hurt, you're not hurt. But if you're not hurt, you don't need a personal injury attorney. So that's the deal. That's what you agreed to. If you are hurt, you need to treat in order to prove that pain and suffering exists. Yes. And so once you prove it, then we'll max you out. But not treating and saying, oh, my back, my neck and my back. It's not good enough.
Yeah, you can't say your neck and back hurt and then not do treatment, because how are we supposed to prove to the insurance company that you are injured if you're not doing any treatment? And MRIs are very important. I always tell all my clients that MRIs are very important because that'll show what your injuries are.
Do I have to get an MRI? What if I'm I'm claustrophobic?
Well, there are options.
There are options. There are open-sided MRIs which can be used in order to get a full body scan without having you to go in that little hole.
Yes.
And I couldn't get just a CT scan instead of doing an MRI?
Are you a doctor or a client?
Well, I mean, I'm really afraid.
You can, but it's almost the same thing, because an MRI is more like a circle and it's more narrow. A CT scan is you have more space. It's a little bit more open, and when you go in, however, an MRI will actually demonstrate more than what a CT scan does. I'm not a doctor or anything or a radiologist, but a CT scan will scan for different parts of the body than an MRI would. My understanding, again, I'm not a radiologist, but an MRI, they could see if you have a bulging disc, if there's a pinched nerve. And with a CT scan, I'm not too sure if that is something that can be seen.
Thank you for explaining it to me. I didn't know there was a difference.
Thank you.
Jess, what are your thoughts?
For argument purposes, if in this situation the client doesn't want to treat, what we typically do is we sit them down and go over the reasons why Ceci and Ben just said, the importance of treating, because we have to be able to prove this to the insurance companies. If it does get to litigation, we have to prove it to the courts or opposing counsel. There's no way to document your injuries if you're not seeking medical attention, medical help. So it's very important. If a client is on the fence, they don't want to treat, we let them know the importance of treating and the reasons behind it.
Piggybacking off of that, we just want to know, like, are you genuinely hurt? And is the issue that you just can't treat? And if so, why? I know everybody has a life. We all struggle. We got to pay bills. A lot of my clients are like, hey, I have a job. I can't really be leaving work. Let us find out why you don't want to go. If it's you generally don't feel pain, honestly, there's not much we could do because you're not in pain. But if you're like, hey, I really want to treat, I am in pain, but I just can't, we'll work with you. Just let us know. We need to have enough to prove that you're hurt, And after that, it's really up to you. Like, hey, if you want to and it's working for you, let's keep doing it. But we need at least enough to prove that you are hurt and see what's actually going on. So you even know, like, you might say, like, hey, my back just hurts a little bit, but it's something I could get through. But like, let's say as time goes on, you're treating just what you can, and you see that, okay, maybe something's wrong with your disc, something happened in your back. You're like, oh man, maybe I should keep treating. And you kind of start seeing the importance of it because you're like, I didn't think anything was wrong. I thought I was just in pain and it was going to go away, and it hasn't. Sometimes you just need to take those little steps. And that's why I tell everybody, I'm like, at least go see what's going on. If nobody's telling you to go 3 times a week, nobody's telling you to consistently call off work or call out early, let's just find out what's going on. Even if it's like, leave early, work once a week, let's figure it out.
So I don't have to, if my provider puts me on, a 2-month program, I can just do a couple treatments and I can be done.
Like I said, as long as you get to a point where we can see what's going on, like let's say you do that MRI and we could at least see what's going on, that's more than enough. And again, it's up to the client, like, hey, like, yeah, I see what's going on, maybe I should continue treatment. And there's so many providers out there that you could choose from that sometimes they're open on weekends. Sometimes they'll still like 8 to 5, but they'll work with you, be like, hey, we could do like 4:30, can you work with us? It's just working with the client and working with our providers.
Okay. And I'll add to what Daisy just said as far as providers. If you do have like a situation where because your work hours are not favorable, we do have providers that we could, refer you to for you to make an appointment that work the extended hours, like after hours. There's some providers that do like the block days that they open later on in the day during the week, but then they're later there in the evening to be able to take in the patients that can't come during 9 to 5.
Do I have to go to a physical therapist or a chiro, or can I go to my massage therapist that I see on my own?
So that just depends. What I always tell my clients is that when you go to the medical doctors, view your medical doctor as the captain of your ship. So he's going to guide you in which direction you should go in. So if he thinks that you need physical therapy based on how you describe your injuries are, then you'll have physical therapy. But if he thinks that chiropractor treatment is better for you, then that's what he will refer you to. It just depends on how you describe your injuries are and what you're feeling and your pain level to where he might refer you. He might not refer you to physical therapy or chiro. He might just say, I think you need to get your radiology done first, because if there's some sort of inflammation, we want to know that. And then based off of that, he might say, you know what? I actually think we can skip chiro for now. I think you need pain management first, and then maybe some physical therapy.
So Ben, would you ever fire a client over a lack of treatment?
No, I won't fire it. I'll close your case. I'll send a demand with the, low amount of treatment. But I think we talked about this last podcast. Like, you got $5,000 in meds, you're going to probably get a 10 grand top offer, and then you're chopping it 3 ways. So the more you treat, the better off you are. And if you choose not to treat, I will try my darndest to maximize your recovery, but it's not going to be the max.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, Jess, what about people who exaggerate their injuries? Do they ruin it for everyone else?
Yeah, I would. That's kind of I wouldn't say they ruin it for everyone else, but it definitely does affect, I guess, the way insurance companies look at injuries and whether or not they're exaggerated or not. But I don't think it affects everyone.
If I went to treatment and I got my MRIs and I do have, positive findings, but I just feel like I still can't continue treating because my life is just so busy, do you think I'd be able to get my full compensation?
Well, it depends. If you're talking about a commercial policy, absolutely not. You're talking about a minimum policy. You get a couple of MRIs, that's going to be about $3,000. You probably did an initial at the treatment provider. That's probably another $1,500, $3,000 or $4,500. And then a couple of sessions with a chiro, throw another $1,000 on. Like, it adds up. On a 2550 policy, which is the minimum policy in the state of Nevada and Arizona, you'd be fine or close, But like I said, commercial policy, nah, you're not popping that policy.
I would encourage you that you treat if you decide that's not something that you're able to do because of work or you feel better, then that's fine. But if you're still feeling injured, I would still encourage you to treat, because you're not only getting a monetary settlement, you're also going to feel better physically and maybe even mentally, because when you don't feel well physically, sometimes you won't feel well mentally because your aches and pains, and then you can't get through the day mentally. You see what I'm saying? So
That's true. It's been keeping me up at night because I haven't been able to get comfortable.
so I would encourage you to continue to treat if you're able to, and if not, then we could see what we can do.
Like we say, get you fixed, we'll get you paid, but the fix definitely comes first.
Yes.
What if I don't want to treat in person and then I would like to have an online appointment or a phone call appointment? Is that something that would be available?
Yes, you can do telehealth. However, ever since, so telehealth became more popular when COVID started, right? And that's how a lot of clients, even not just personal injury, but normal clients, like normal people would, do their treatment was through telehealth. However, since times changed and now we are free again and we can actually go physically to the doctor, it's not, I wouldn't encourage it so much unless you absolutely have no other choice. Like maybe you had to fly somewhere because of work, or you have vacation planned and then the appointment came through and it's just like a regular follow-up, then I think that's fine. I would prefer you physically go unless you really can't.
Okay. And does the insurance company, do they look at those telehealth appointments and
They do.
consider them differently than
Yes.
actual in person?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Does my actual health insurance affect this or just be my vehicle insurance?
So no, not your private health insurance. If you have private health insurance, it shouldn't affect in any way. Unless there's like you went to the hospital and you have like a union health insurance, and we do have to, do something called subrogation, where if you did go to the hospital and we need to repay your health insurance, then that's something that we would have to do.
What do you mean? Because that's one of the things I don't want to have to pay out of pocket. I don't have a lot of money right now.
So if you have private health insurance, even if you have Medicaid and you treat under what we call an attorney lien, your health insurance wouldn't be exposed. Now, the only time your auto insurance policy would be exposed is if your injuries are higher than what, the costs are for that other person's policy. So if that other person only has a $25,000 policy and you were transported to the hospital and you went transported by ambulance to the hospital, and now you have a $1,200-$1,300 hospital ambulance bill.
Ceci's using all the words.
I know, $17,000 hospital bill, then, you want to use your health insurance if you have it so they can cover that. But see, now I lost my train of thought because
I did that on purpose so Daisy could talk.
Okay, Daisy, talk.
I'm afraid to go to the doctor because I don't have health insurance actually, and I don't want to pay anything up front because I don't really have a lot of money.
And that's fine. Honestly, there's a lot of people who don't have health insurance, or honestly, they're like, I don't want to use my health insurance. And that's fine. There are providers out there who are like, hey, we'll work with you. And like Ceci said, there's an attorney lien. We pay them back in the very end. So it comes from your settlement amount.
And one of the things I always talk about is there's two different models of treatment that we're talking about here. When you're treating under a personal health insurance model, their goal is to treat you minimally. And the reason being is they're billing the insurance company. The insurance company doesn't want to pay. And so they're going to treat you at the lowest possible level because they don't have the ability to run all the things they should do. When you're treating on a lien, they are truly focused on your health. They are truly focused on exploring all areas of your body and making sure that you are in fact injured and where you're injured. And then they focus on that area and they treat that area. So that's just my philosophy on, if you want to treat with your doctor, it's fine. It's just they're not trained in how to maximize not only your recovery, but maximize the exploratory part of determining where in fact you truly are injured.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know if the providers offer help with transportation, if that's an issue for me?
Providers we work with do, by and large, offer transportation. Otherwise, transportation is often found.
Yes, you will always have transportation. It's not something to worry about. There are a lot of people who are like, hey, I don't really have transportation. We'll figure it out. Whether it's going to be your attorney, or in this case, us, or your provider. It's always figured out for you. Because the main thing is get you better. If we got to figure out how to get you better and get you there to get better, we'll figure it out.
Guys, we're having fun with this. We're doing a debate. This next session we're doing is called the loyalty test. And the loyalty test is simply somebody doesn't like it, their old attorney, and they come to us. To be fair, Vegas is a small town. And in a lot of situations, what we'll do is we'll let the other attorney know and say, hey, buddy, this is the situation with your client. Can you fix it? Because like I said, it is a small town. If the relationship is irretrievably broken, then at that point we'll give a heads up to the other attorney and say, hey man, this guy's just not your bag. Send us a lien, we'll honor it, and we'll go from there. But by and large, we don't try to steal cases. Sometimes it happens to us quite a bit, where people will take our cases and then magically they come back. It happens. We try not to do it, but this, I think, is actually a very realistic thing that does happen in Las Vegas, and I think the way Anthony approached it is pretty realistic.
I agree. Like Ben was saying, this is a very small town, and by and large, most attorneys kind of get along. Everyone knows each other. So if there is a client that's on the fence saying, hey, I don't like my current attorney, what can you do for me? We do typically reach out to the other firm and say, hey, this guy came up and he's not too happy. Just a heads up. But by and large, we're not trying to steal a client.
There's enough accidents, sadly, in this town
Yeah,
that we can all do just fine.
I don't think most attorneys purposely try to steal clients. Usually the attorneys that we associate with are cool and they'll give you a heads up if a client's not happy. And same goes with if someone comes to us saying their current firm is not doing the best, we'll try to give the other attorneys a call and let them know what's going on.
Cool.
All right, let's get into it. Client wants to leave their current PI for better communication. Do you take them or send them back?
Like we just talked about, in most situations, what we do is we will try to send them back and improve the relationship. If the relationship doesn't improve, then we'll take on the client's case. One of the things that we do is you have our cell phones. You have my phone, you have Jess's phone. So communication shouldn't be an issue. Somebody should be talking to you. Your case manager should be talking to you. If your case manager isn't talking to you, your attorney isn't talking to you. If your case manager is talking to you, but you want to talk to the attorney, you should have the right to talk to the attorney. Those are things that all clients have a right to do. And you need your questions answered throughout the whole process, and it's our job to do it. Case manager, front desk people, staff, whoever it is, except for Russell. He's just grumpy.
Sorry, Russell.
That's what I was going to ask is how should I expect communication with you versus you? How do you guys work with communication? But you just answered.
Well,
So-
and like I said, like you get my cell phone, Jess, he's clearly terrible at communicating because he's about to lose a client. But
We don't try to steal clients. So you just
I'm unhappy with my communication with Jess. So I want to see other options in attorneys.
All right. So this is a loyalty test. Client wants to leave their current PI attorney for a better communication.
how'd you fuck up? Virginia, how'd you fuck up?
Why
How'd
is
you
say-
fuck up with this client?
You know,
What did you do wrong?
we didn't do anything wrong. Virginia is a great case manager.
Okay, then why is your client sitting in my office?
Well, sometimes they just want a second opinion,
And what are you guys going to do better?
Well, what's the client's main gripe with my office?
It's communication. No communication and what's going on with my case, or I can't get a hold of anybody when I do have questions about updates on my case.
So you're calling the office and you're not getting the answers that you want. Okay. So first we would address basically who your case manager is, to sit down with their file and see what's going on. Reach out to you if you want to speak to the case manager or the attorney. I will try to say, hey, sorry, there seems to be some kind of miscommunication here. We're waiting for some documents or whatever it may be as the reason why you haven't been getting called lately, and we'll try to smooth it over.
But one of the easiest things to do is to ask your client how's the easiest way to connect with you, right? Versus phone call, text, email. Some people work and they don't want to be bothered with phone calls, or they just don't answer. So you ask them, like, how would you prefer to be contacted? And then we try to contact them in that way. Some people are like, I don't do well with phone calls. Other people are like, don't text me because I won't answer. So, we just try to accommodate them in the way that they prefer to be handled.
And our policy has always been that you can get a hold of somebody, right?
Yes.
And you pretty much live on your office is right next to mine. You live on the phone. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. And what are you doing on the phone?
When clients are calling, I am either answering their phones or text message, looking at emails, trying to get the bottom line of either liability decisions, trying to find out their limits, making sure that they're following up a treatment, seeing how you guys are feeling, as well, like Tammy said, trying to figure out what's the best time of communication for them, either via text, email, phone. There's all different types of ways now.
And you do it, right?
Yes.
And if you have an issue, what do you do?
Try to speak to the attorney, the other case managers, trying to figure out what's another method or way of getting a hold of you guys.
So, Sage, we will communicate with you after hours, weekends,
We do.
early morning.
Unfortunately, we do.
We will do whatever it takes in order to make sure that you are taken care of.
That'll be short.
My case manager was posting videos and pictures of her on vacation, but I wasn't able to even get a phone call or a text message from her regarding my case.
In a situation like that, typically what the case manager will do is, and Daisy and Jen just came back from their vacation, but they will reach out to their clients, let them know they might be out of the office for the next week or so. Here's an update on your case. If you have any questions, we're going to pass your file off to someone else until we get back, or you can speak directly to the attorney in the office. So there's someone that always has the case file. If there are any questions, you can always give us a call and we can update you on what's going on.
And the beauty of our system is that
We all have access.
we all have access to everybody's files. We all have access to everybody's notes. We can read notes. We can see where you're at in the case. And we can, even if we're not your case manager, we're all your attorneys. But like, if we're not your case manager, or if it's the attorney who isn't familiar with the case, we can get very familiar with your case and give you an update fairly quickly.
What red flags make you think a lawyer isn't doing their job?
That's a good question. I would say obviously communication, not communicating with me. Other than communication, I would say not being able to have access to the attorneys, not being able to sit down with the attorney when I would like to.
What percentage of clients are truly unhappy or versus impatient?
You're asking unhappiness versus just them being impatient.
Yeah.
Like, where's my money?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say
I don't know if I consider percentage.
Understanding.
I think everybody is impatient about
I mean,
money.
once in a while, yeah, because you're looking at
Yeah, I mean, you just,
I think everybody wants to be paid out as soon as possible.
what's the one we wrote? We just wrote a check to a girl for
don't drop news.
like 25, 26 grand, right?
Yeah.
And she was like crawling up the walls to get in the office to get that check. Yeah.
That's impatience. Are they happy with the amount of money they get? Majority of the time, yes. Impatience? I think everybody's impatient. When it comes to money, everybody wants it as soon as possible, but there's a process. Versus unhappiness, I think the majority of our clients are happy with the outcome.
so. I signed with you guys and I didn't do any research. And then I went and did some research and I saw some reviews and now I'm on the fence on staying with your guys' firm.
Gotcha, bitch. Here's the situation. You cannot please everybody. And to be fair, I guarantee you every firm in town, if you look at a bad review, can give you the exact reason why that person's full of shit. However, people are allowed to have opinions. People are allowed to think you do a poor job. It's your job to show your clients, to work with your clients, and to let them know, here's what the process is. Here's how we're doing it. This is the end goal. This is where we're going to get. Educate your clients, communicate with your clients, and give them realistic expectations before they make their own.
And I kind of steer, I'm always hesitant to go with some company or someone that has 5 stars across the board. It's just, I don't know. Because there's always going to be someone that's not going to be happy for whatever reason. It might not be the attorney's fault or the office's fault, but you just can't please everyone. So whenever I see someone with 5 stars, I don't know, is that just me? If I see someone with like 1,000 5 stars, like at least one of those customers have been pissed off at something.
No, it's
I don't know.
Well, and what's the argument on their review? So do they think they could have got more money? Some people don't understand how the division takes with the settlements, and they think that they should be entitled to the whole claim, right? They think that they should get that whole amount,
Yeah.
and they don't understand that we have to pay providers, we have to pay
It's
the attorneys.
the McDonald's coffee thing. I think that screwed up everything.
Don't get me on that rant, Jess.
Yeah. No, but that's why everyone thinks they're gonna be millionaires when they get into an accident, because that hot coffee at McDonald's.
We had somebody come in yesterday. We got policy limits for him. It was $100,000. And if you haven't heard the podcast, I tell everybody every time it's shop a third, a third, a third. Third to the client, third to the attorney, a third to medical providers. Gentleman came in, he saw that $100,000 check. He was very happy with it. He's like, sweet. And then he's like, wait, you guys promised me that you were going to give me $60,000. That conversation never happened because I could never promise a client that he would get $60,000 out of a $100,000 settle. It's rare. It can happen. It has happened on occasion, but that's not something we promise. We tell everybody it's going to be a third, a third, a third, and we will work very hard to make sure that those numbers work. Just like we will always make sure that you take more money than we do. Like I said, realistic expectations are very important. Wouldn't you agree, Virginia?
Yes.
Okay. And aren't you involved in the process of educating our clients throughout the process?
Yes, we try to explain to them as the most possible on the policy limits that are available with their own insurance or the at-fault insurance, explaining to them the attorneys will not take more than what the clients are receiving. Medical providers, we do work with them as trying to reduce the bill as the most that we can.
And that's all gone over in the paperwork when they sign. We sit down and explain to them how the process works and where the division is. So that's explained in the beginning, but I think over time they hear, minimum limit 25,000, and then that's what we settled for, and they're thinking they're going to get the full 25.
Now, will it hurt me to leave the firm that I'm currently at to go with you?
No, because I'm a better attorney than that guy.
Are you asking if it will hurt your case?
No, what the attorney does in a situation like that, we do what's called an attorney lien. And so we bill, and it's in everybody's paperwork, which you get when you leave every attorney's office, or you should. That explains that we're allowed to bill for the amount of work we did on the case. That is always subject to negotiation in every situation I've seen. Whenever we get an attorney lien from somebody else, we'll usually say like, hey, we can pay you 60% of what you're billing. Usually everybody's cool with it. They're just happy to get the check. But that money shouldn't be coming out of your end. It should be coming out of the attorney's.
So given the choices and the responses, who would you pick to be with?
I would go with Ben and Tammy's firm.
Oh my God, she picked her mom.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No. Nope.
Are you ready? So-and-so got millions for a minor crash. Why am I not getting the same? Is this a fair question or a dangerous comparison?
I mean, one of the things as attorneys we don't do is listen a lot. And our problem is our client tells us that something happens, we need to be open to the idea of exploring it. But even in a situation where you explore it, there are things like limits. If you're tied to an insurance policy, typically you're not going to go above that insurance policy, because if you hit a large number, the insurance policy is going to be tendered, or the insurance company is going to give you a check right away so that they're not exposed to millions of dollars. Right, Jen?
Right.
So in this case, let's say, does limits still relate to my injuries? Let's say I have multiple broken bones. Do I still get more money if I'm like severely injured?
No.
It just all depends on limits. They're going to give you their maximum. It just all depends on your treatment as well, but depends what they have. Every case is different. They could have $1 million, again, depending on your treatment, but they could also only have 25, and sometimes it kind of sucks, but it all depends what insurance we carry.
Mm-hmm.
So for you guys, like if I pick you guys, is there anything you guys could do to get me more? Or is it what they're saying true? Can I go after them, the person who's at fault directly?
Well, it can also depend on your policy insurance itself. Like if you have UIM or UM underinsured, which that would pick in those situations. So we would be able to go after your own policy limits, but they necessarily can also raise your rates up because of it. So therefore, you will also get compensated for your injuries with your own insurance.
Yeah. And Julie's absolutely correct. So, and what Jen was saying is we're kind of limited by what the other side has in terms of their policy limits. There are benefits to carrying UIM or underinsured motorist coverage, but in the rare, I mean, I don't know if I've seen it that often, but if you are underinsured, I know we have a friend that got into an accident and he was underinsured and they went after him privately.
Personally, yeah.
Personally. But this is a person that had a lot of assets. He had some real estate. He had a lot of money and he was just underinsured for the damages he caused. So yeah, that they went after him personally. So there are both situations where you can go after someone personally, but sadly, if someone's not insured or they only have the minimum coverage, there's nothing that you can actually kind of go after on the personal side.
I mean, yeah, if you think about it, like there was, what's his name? Think about it.
Don't drop names.
Scott, no, it's not a client. Scott Gregson. It was in the paper.
Oh.
He was that real estate guy worth like a couple $100 million, and he was driving from a golf event.
That's it. What a loser.
And he got in a crash, and like there was a mom of like 4 young kids in the car, and she got like decapitated or whatever.
And then here,
yeah, this is probably 4 or 5 years ago. And so like in that situation, obviously a policy doesn't matter because the guy's worth $100 million or whatever. So you can go after it. It's kind of like Uber, or it's kind of like a company. There are things called commercial insurance. In those situations, there are large policies and you can go after them. But in a situation where you're dealing with, regular people, like after their policy, there's not much. They probably have a house that they're making payments on, but it's homesteaded. So you can't go after that because it's protected.
Right.
Their earnings are, they're living paycheck to paycheck. The odds are pretty good that you're not going to get anything out of them. The only thing they have is they have their insurance policy, and that's what protects you. Now, one of the things Julie talked about is this idea of UIM or UM, underinsured motorists. It's an extra expense for your insurance, and I always tease the girls because some of the girls don't have it. But that is the biggest protection you can have for yourself. It does cost money. However, if you get in an accident, even if the person is hit and run, even if the person doesn't have insurance, you're protected yourself, not only your car, but your body as well.
So what if I get in an I get in an accident and I don't have UIM, but let's say a week later you guys are telling me about UIM and I apply for UIM, can I get it?
No. If it's, yeah. Jen, I cut you off.
No.
Go, girl.
No, because whatever coverage you have the day of your accident is what covers you. There wouldn't even be a point of getting after. I mean, I guess you can for your next accident, but the one you're in, whatever coverage you have.
So I can't expect that from them because I didn't have it. So if you're telling me, you guys are both telling me, I can't get millions, no matter what happens in my case. There's limits to it. There's a lot of things we have to go through. What expectations can both sides give me? What can I expect if I went with you guys?
Well, the first thing you can expect from both firms is that we will communicate with you and we will educate you on the entire process. Okay. Our goal always is to make sure that you understand rather than expect, because it's better if you understand than expect, because if you understand, there's no questions. And so the more we can answer for you, and that's why we have amazing case managers like yourself, Jen, Julie, and others, is so that you are educated, you understand. And so by the time that check does come, you're prepared and you understand, okay, this is how I get it. Now, I will tell you, we have had cases. I had one case where I think we thought the limits were like 25 grand. And it turned out there was $100,000 or something out there. I forget what it was. It might have even been more. But the woman treated, and just the insurance company randomly gave us an absurd amount of money. And it was funny because it was early on in my career. I was like, what did I mess up? What did I miss that they're giving me all this money now? Because insurance companies, guess what? They're not stupid. Like, they know what they're doing. And I was like, did I miss something? And that's why they're giving this woman, she got a 6-figure check when we were expecting to give her an $8 grand check. It was a huge result.
I would never make that mistake.
Because he can't write checks. But there are rare reasons that you can outperform what's expected. But as long as you know what's expected, if we improve beyond that, you're going to be happy with us. But If you're expecting the world and we're like, yo, girl, you're getting the moon, you're never going to be happy with us. So we need to educate you and make sure you understand the process and understand where you're at and where you should be.
What if I go with you guys? What expectations can you give me as of now?
I'll make it new year.
And like Ben is saying, you don't want to promise a world and you can't produce, right? So you want to keep expectation within a reasonable amount. We are capped by limits on what the other person has, depending if you have UIM or UM. But we generally like to keep expectations at a reasonable level. And like Ben said, if we can exceed those, then great, everyone's happy. But we don't say, we're going to make you rich and famous. You're going to be a millionaire after this. But we do keep expectations realistically.
So as a client, and this goes to either sides, as a client who has not a lot of knowledge on this, how do I know you guys are doing everything you can to make sure I'm getting the most I can?
To be fair, you don't. To be fair, like, unless you're sitting there with Jen or you're sitting there with Julie, you're not going to be able to see all the work that the ladies and Jess and I put into it. You're not. We will try our very hardest to give you as much information as you have so you understand just exactly what we're doing. But like, what people don't see behind the scenes is an incredible amount of work that all of you ladies do. And it's all to make sure that the client is taken care of. And so you won't be able to see that, but we will try very hard to make you comfortable in that.
Right. And with full transparency, when you do get that check, we do sit you down and we go over all of it, where every cent is going. So you are fully aware of where everything's going.
Literally, Daisy's the one that does it.
If I go with one of you guys what proper steps do you do to double check everything? Like, how do you know if I have that type of coverage on my insurance? Are you guys talking to my insurance?
Well, yeah, by law, if we give them certain documents, they have to give us, your limits. I like, when I do consults, to have the people pull up their policy in front of me on their phone, usually, just so I can look at it on their phone. And you can tell if there's UAM that way. Then you just have to confirm it with the insurance company. But yeah, that for me is like my tried and true method. It's just like, oh, hey, pull up your policy on your phone. And I usually show people how to do it and we go from there.
And Julie, what do you do during intakes?
I try to obtain as much information as I can as possible. That way, when I hand over the case to the case managers, they have as much information as possible. But, they also do their part and they call the insurance to double check everything because, sometimes they will give you like the wrong insurance information. Sometimes the police reports aren't necessarily accurate as to what insurance company they have. So that's where the case managers come in and do all the investigation for us.
All right, Daisy, who are you going to go with?
I'm gonna have to go with the dating law.
3-0. 3-0. Once again, I did not choose the clients.
Client is influenced by TikTok lawyers and tells you how to run their case. Do you listen or push back?
I mean, for me, I'm not gonna push back. If you feel some type of way and you think we're not doing something right, come inside, come to our office, we'll have a talk. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to tell you maybe why that doesn't relate to your case.
So why is he asking questions that you guys aren't asking?
Because we probably don't need to ask those questions. For me, at least when I'm doing an intake, I want to try to I'm not going to ask you questions that are right in front of my face. There's a lot of information I could ask you, but a lot of it is like, if there's a police slip, it's on there. I'm not going to ask you because I don't want to waste your time. Half of the time, you guys are coming in a rush. Your time is valuable. I'm not going to ask you stuff that I have right there. I'm going to ask you stuff that I know I really need to make your case, make sure it has the case value it needs.
And when you're looking at those social media attorneys and they're saying that there's 3 things that your attorney should ask, they're very general statements. So when you come to our office, we sit you down and we make it very personal, right? So we're answering questions that pertain to your case and not just general catchphrases like TikTok lawyer over there says to catch your attention. We actually sit you down and we mold our questions directly for your case. No generalization over there.
So for the superstar, what are you doing different to get me better results?
The right thing. That's what I'm doing different. I do it right.
Because they're dancing? Could you
For
dance on
instance,
TikTok?
She's talking about a police report. Police reports part 1. What about the body cam? Did she get the body cam? Did she look at the body cam? Does body cam say anything that actually would dispute the police report? Because that's something that might help you out. They're not going to let you know that because they're too lazy to get the body cam. Additionally, when you treat, we're going to have you treat with people who are going to be open and honest with you. You can see their bills. Their bills? You think you see their bills? You don't see their bills till the end.
And that's why you're dealing with the TikTok lawyer. He's going to tell you you're not going to see any of those things over here when you are. I'm not going to ask you if there's body cam because the police report's going to tell me. And if the police report tells me, I'm like, okay, let's get the body cam. And I'll tell you, hey, got the police report back. It says there's body cam footage. We're going to go ahead and get that. It may take a while, but as soon as we get it, we'll let you know and we'll see if it's anything that's worth it. And, you know, he is, like I said, he's saying, oh, well, are they showing you this? We do. We're going to show you everything when it's time. When it comes to you getting your money, we're going to show you everything you need to see.
What you're doing, can that get me paid more?
Yeah.
How can you guarantee me that?
Well, ethically, I'm not allowed to guarantee anything. So I couldn't do that. And while I may be a TikTok lawyer, I'm not a moron. Even though most TikTok lawyers are morons. TikTok is an effective form of a short but informative video that allows you to understand that I know what I'm talking about. You've been to their office. You see that they're ignoring things that they don't feel they need. I don't ignore you. I listen to you. We take care of you and we educate you. Them, they're just like, oh, we knew how to do it. You just go over there and do whatever we tell you to.
Just because we're a TikTok firm doesn't mean we're any less of, a firm than they are. We still know what we're doing and we want the best for you because the best for our clients is the best for us.
Yeah.
So would you say because he has a more influential status on social media that he is the better attorney?
Not at all.
How so?
Have you ever seen advertisements for a Lamborghini? Exactly.
The client, what would make you stop trusting a lawyer and start trusting an influencer?
Oh, what would make me do that?
Nothing, because influencers are douches.
You are the influencer.
You are the influencer.
We're influenced for a reason. We got the status for a reason because our clients trust us and we give good results.
Are you seeking more of a status from the social media or from your client satisfaction?
I think our client satisfaction, but I don't think that it's a problem to also get the effort, to have it both ways. We know we're doing a good job, so we can say we're doing a good job, but we can also still have satisfaction of, our TikTok's blowing up.
What could you tell me that making me trust you over social media guy?
I mean, we're not spending our time doing TikToks.
Like Daisy's saying is we don't care about the social media clicks that other firm wants. We dirty more.
We want to connect with our clients more.
We want to spend our time on our clients and not on TikTok.
We connect to our clients through TikTok.
Our reviews and our comments speak for themselves.
All paid.
Ours do too without the TikTok.
Another one.
But are the comments like cool vid bro? Or
No,
are they
no,
talking more about their cases?
About their cases, but also that they liked working with us as a firm because we're personable.
Again, we spend all our time on your case and not on TikTok.
And you could see those positive results through our Google reviews. We don't need a TikTok to talk about it. You see it through our reviews.
Yes.
One of the things that's problem with your Google reviews is that AI has taken over the entire marketing space for Google. So the new way to expand your marketing profile is to go through TikToks, through social media, to appeal to the people like young Master Robert over there or Sage Sausage in the back.
Sausage.
Mm-hmm. We are reaching the audience that needs the help. And so that's the medium we use. And we're doing it to effectively market an experienced law firm that has amazing results. I would even say they're proven results.
And honestly, going back on that, I don't feel that we need the socials to market to a new audience. Our results are so amazing that we trust our word of mouth to get us clients back over. Because we do such an amazing job and that's what we focus on. We know that our clients are going to go in first people that are in an accident because they trust us and they know what we're doing.
Most of our clients are referred by former clients. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can get is when you serve a client to the point where they're happy referring their friends and family to your office. That's what makes it special. Whereas TikTok guy over there has to, he's an entertainment lawyer. He's not a real lawyer.
And it's okay for them to And it's great that he's
know a
probably giving
lot
you education.
that-
He probably is educating you a lot on the PI world, but we're going to sit in here and educate you on your specific case. And if you come back with questions on what you heard on the internet, we'll tell you, like, okay, this is why it relates, this is why it doesn't. We're going to inform you and educate you on your case, because that's what matters. You don't need to know all information about, oh, this is why they got this and that got that. I'm going to tell you what you're going to get and what to expect from your case, because that's what our focus is. You don't care about everybody else's case, you care about your case and what we could give you on that case.
We'll just give you more.
Do you care about a lawyer that gets his clients from TikTok or from referrals from old clients?
I'd have to go with Team Jess on this one.
I knew that was going to happen as soon as she came out. She was going to break this streak.
I honestly think that you can pretty much tell what is an AI generated review versus what's a genuine review. And there's some of us that still write genuine reviews based on our own experience and in our own words. I don't necessarily want an attorney who feels like he's paying attention to everybody in the general public versus a case manager or an attorney who is giving me personal attention where I feel like I'm important and not just another dollar in their pocket.
All right, guys, here's the situation. This is kind of a joke, but yeah, we do market pretty heavily in TikTok, Facebook, all the socials, Insta. And so we're being a little cheeky here, but Daisy is right. When you come in, you're getting individualized attention. Your attention is focused on your case. But I am also right when I said that we are marketing to the platform that people use as opposed to, putting a commercial on TV. Because, to be fair, when's the last time anybody watched a commercial on TV? Unless they lost their remote and couldn't fast forward quick enough. We market where we market. The reason we do it is because that's how we reach you. And then you stay with us, like Daisy talked about, because of our results.
Someone calls in saying they were in a rideshare crash, but here's the twist. They just so happen to know the Uber driver personally, and now both of them want to sue Uber. Is this a legal case or a setup for fraud?
No.
Clearly, sir, it's a setup for fraud.
I agree it smells fishy at first, but what if, hypothetically, that legitimately he called for a rideshare and unbeknownst to him, his friend picked him up and they got into a legitimate accident? Does that preclude both of them or either one just because they know each other?
Yes.
Where's the collusion?
How?
I don't know. I have to investigate it further.
Oh, wait. Are you Uber?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I'm sorry, rideshare. Let's see you, Virginia.
I say, why can't the people know each other? People have different types of jobs, different types of side gigs, and it can be that the odd chances that, yes, unfortunately, his friend did end up picking him up. He may have not known who the driver was until he pulled up, but the ride was ordered before the accident. So I don't think, as in why it should be fishy.
So no, I'm not fraud. Why am I fraud? Just because my friend came to pick me up, but I didn't know it was going to be my friend. It's right here on the Uber app. Like, how is this person going to, she doesn't even know where I live. Also, it wasn't like it was our fault. The other person literally made a left turn in front of us when we had the green light. The other person was cited. So why is this a fraudulent case? Explain it to me. Somebody?
Well, I represent you, so I don't think it's fraudulent.
I don't think it's fraudulent.
You're trying to represent her, but it is fraudulent and it's going to cause you problems. You literally turned down 4 Uber drivers before you got your friend who doesn't know.
Because I needed a van and they kept on bringing me like these small compact car and I needed a big car. I paid to get a ride and it's not my fault that you kept on sending the wrong type of vehicle.
But at the same time, the person who was turning left said that they had a solid green.
Behind the car that I was in, there was another car and we were all heading straight.
Also part of the setup. Did that car rear end you?
No. He doesn't want me as a client because I'm
We're going to drop this.
This might be what we refer to as a challenging client. They do happen. This one kind of hits close to home for us, by the way, guys. We had a series of cases through Uber that turned out to be setups. It was professionally incredibly embarrassing. We had to drop the cases. So we didn't know Anthony was popping this one on us. So I think for both Jess and I, it's a little touchy because when you get involved in setup cases, your reputation goes to shit. The cases themselves are awful cases and you can't do anything with them or it could cost you your license. So this one's a little tough. There is, I will say, and Ceci is being very passionate, and that's the way she is when she's fighting for you as a case manager. Yes. But there is an added level of scrutiny at our office when it comes to these types of cases because the financial setup cases aren't going to happen on a minimum policy case. Like nobody's going to get set up and run into and potentially injured for 25 grand where they're only getting 8. They're going to do it on a significant policy. Uber, Lyft, these people have significant policies, millions of dollars. And so if you're going to have somebody say, fuck it, I'll lose an arm, they're going to lose an arm on a case where they're looking at millions of dollars. And so the level of scrutiny you have to have in these cases, we have learned, unfortunately, through being idiots when we first started out, is that you have to really, really, really investigate these cases to make sure they're kosher. And as soon as you do, you fight the hell out of Uber and you fight the hell out of Lyft on these cases because these are financially very rewarding cases. But there is a huge, huge level of scrutiny because if people are going to fake an accident, the likelihood of faking an Uber or Lyft accident is much higher. Fair? I agree.
Thank you, guys. This is the closing for the podcast on our debate that we had today. I do have a few questions and going over what we did in April with our firm. So I'll be asking Ben and Jess some questions.
All right, fire away, Seiji.
All right, first one. What's a client's win this month you're proud of?
April has been a good month. February was rough, and then March and April have really kicked in. We have collected each month over $1 million for our clients. That collectively is a huge win. We seem to be on track to be growing that even higher. I think it was $1.2 million in March. I think it was $1.1 million in April. And this month is already tracking with, I think, 600,000 in settlements, and it's May 8th. So we're on track. We're delivering huge results for our clients. So collectively, I think we're getting to the point where we're dialed in, our clients are happy, and we're producing. And I'm very proud of that.
All right, Jess, since Ben took that one, what's the biggest lesson you learned from a recent case?
So me and Ben just did a jury trial, criminal case, and we got an acquittal for our client. And that's always very satisfying. I know that's a criminal case, but it's always satisfying to, help someone out that we thought was unjustly charged with serious felony offenses. And we were able to walk him out of court with not guilty verdicts. And he was very happy. He was very happy. He was very thankful for what we could do for him. And, that just translates into what we can do on the personal injury side as well, is we have the court room experience. We have the trial experience to help out our clients in the personal injury field as well. So I'm happy about that outcome in that trial.
I think that, and you hear this from me a lot, but I think that I'm constantly learning through listening to our clients. I can't point to one thing individually, but I think as attorneys, as case managers, we get caught in this loop of, okay, this is what happened, this is what occurred, and things like that. Sometimes your client will throw you a curveball that you're not necessarily paying attention to, and just listening, I think you catch so much more. And so I think the biggest thing I keep on learning is that when you're doing these cases, you need to listen, and you especially need to listen to your clients.
And now we have plenty of these, Ben and Jess, but any wild moments behind the scenes that we want to talk about?
So we have, this is actually a funny story. There were a couple of, let's call them business entrepreneurs who lived in my neighborhood. who got their house raided by multiple law enforcement agencies because they may have had drugs in the house. Yeah.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
And so they had 2 Frenchies that they abandoned in the house. So we sent the girls to the animal shelter because it was a kill shelter and I didn't want the Frenchies to die. And I have Frenchies at the house. So we were going to have office Frenchies. But the Frenchies were on a hold. So instead of getting 2 cute little gremlins that are like 20 pounds, Sage and Ceci thought it'd be a great idea to get an 85-pound, black as night German Shepherd that barks hella loud. His name is Knight. He is a wonderful dog. And
beautiful.
Sage and Tams and Ceci have done a great job of training him. The only one he barked at routinely was me.
He went through a lot of trauma. I think he was going through a lot the first week, so it was a little rough, and he didn't know. But he's adjusting. So when you come into the office, you'll meet Knight most likely. But probably
It's a little intimidating to when he's staring you down, but he is the biggest teddy bear
a
ever.
love bug.
She and Sage have done all the training. All I do is feed that dog. I can't wait to take him home.
Oh yeah, Bobby. Bobby.
And the off voice you hear
Yes.
is Sage's little brother, Bobby. Sweet kid. Little bit.
Yeah, I got in trouble by Bobby today for feeding.
Oh, yes, she did. She got chided. Okay. Any new things going on in the office or anything that we should know about?
Well, I mean, yeah, Arizona is definitely growing at a very, very fast pace. It is Matudinatic band down there. We've talked about that in the past, but Alyssa, who was on the debate today, she is our newest case manager down in Arizona. We are growing and we are about to start collecting demands, or we're about to start putting out demands. And it's very exciting. Been down there 2 months, already have over 100 cases. It's amazing. The hard work everybody on the staff puts in is incredible. And thank you all. And we appreciate you. Thank you for listening to our nonsense. This is From the Beach to the Bar. Jess, Ben, Tams, Daisy, Ceci, and Bobby's in the corner, and of course the producer director with the most, Anthony, are all here. We appreciate you. We're trying to go to twice a month, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Bye.